You've probably handled thousands of dollars in cash throughout your life. Maybe tens of thousands. But here's something that'll mess with your head. You've never actually looked at it. Not really. Because hidden in the paper you use to buy coffee and pay for parking is a whole secret world of codes, symbols, and messages that most people will never notice. Some of them are there for security. Others are historical Easter eggs. And a few? Well, those get into some seriously weird conspiracy theory territory that might actually have some truth to it. Right now, pull out any bill from your wallet. Go ahead, I'll wait. Look at it closely. You're holding a piece of art that took years to design, contains technology that cost millions to develop, and has symbols on it that connect to secret societies, ancient religions, and government agencies you didn't know existed. Today we're going deep into the hidden world living on your money. Let's start with the big one. The thing that launched 1,000 conspiracy theories and probably got Dan Brown a book deal. On the back of the US $1 bill, there's a pyramid with an eye floating on top of it. You've seen it. Everyone has. But do you actually know what it means? Or why it's there? The symbol is called the Eye of Providence, and that unfinished pyramid has been staring at Americans since 1935. Here's where it gets interesting. The pyramid has 13 steps. That's not random. 13 original colonies. The eye up top? That's supposed to represent God watching over the nation. Very comforting. Big Brother before Orwell made it creepy. But here's what they don't tell you in school. This symbol has connections to Freemasonry that run deep. Like, really deep. The Founding Fathers were mostly Masons. George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, at least 9 signers of the Declaration of Independence. The Eye of Providence is a major Masonic symbol. So is the unfinished pyramid, representing the ongoing work of building a perfect society. Now, are the Freemasons secretly running the country? Probably not. They can barely organize a pancake breakfast these days. But back in the 1700s, they were the tech bros of their era. They were the elite network, the guys making decisions. And they absolutely put their symbols on the money because they could. Look closer at that pyramid. At the base, there is a date in Roman numerals. That's 1776, Declaration of Independence. Above the pyramid, it says Annuit Coeptis, which translates to, He approves of our undertakings. Below it, Novus Ordo Seclorum, New Order of the Ages. Some people read that as New World Order and lose their minds. But it actually just means a new era for humanity. Though, I'll admit, the designers could have picked less ominous Latin. The eye itself freaks people out because it looks supernatural. It's detached from the pyramid, floating in a triangle surrounded by rays of light. In Masonic tradition, this represents the great architect of the universe. In Christian symbolism, it's the Holy Trinity. Take your pick. Either way, someone decided that putting a floating eyeball on your money was a good idea. And now every dollar you spend is being watched by a disembodied eye. Sleep well tonight. All right, this one sounds insane until you actually look at it. There's a tiny spider hidden on the $1 bill. Or at least, something that looks exactly like a spider. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Look at the top right corner of the bill, where it says 1 inside a decorative shield. Now look at the upper right of that shield. See those lines? That pattern? Flip the bill upside down. Congratulations, you're now looking at what appears to be a perfect spider. Is it intentional? The government says no. It's just decorative scroll work that happens to look like an 8-legged creature when inverted. But come on, these bills are designed by artists who spend years on every tiny detail. You're telling me nobody noticed they drew a spider? The same government that can track your cell phone and read your emails somehow missed a spider on their most common piece of currency? Here's what makes it weirder. In lots of cultures, spiders represent patience, creativity, and weaving fate. They build webs to trap prey. You know what else traps people? Debt, the monetary system. Maybe I'm reaching here, but considering how many other intentional symbols are on this bill, the spider being an accident feels unlikely. There's also an owl. Yeah, an owl. Near the top right corner of the bill, on the web pattern, around the number 1. It's tiny. You need a magnifying glass to see it clearly, but it's there. An owl, symbol of wisdom in Greek mythology, or symbol of the Bohemian Grove, that secret club where politicians and billionaires hang out in California and do weird rituals. Just saying. Every bill has a serial number. You probably think it's just random. It's not. Those numbers and letters tell a whole story if you know how to read them. The serial number starts with a letter. That letter tells you which Federal Reserve Bank issued the bill. A is Boston, B is New York, all the way through L for San Francisco. So right away, you know where your money came from. Kinda cool, like a birth certificate for your cash. But here's where it gets deep. Some serial numbers are worth way more than face value. If you have a bill with all the same number, like 888888888, that's called a solid. Collectors will pay thousands for that. If you have a sequential number that goes in order, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's a ladder. Also worth money. There are people who make a living hunting through cash registers looking for these rare serial numbers. They'll trade 100 normal $1 bills for your single bill that happens to have a cool number pattern. It's essentially gambling, but with extra steps. And then there's the star notes. If a bill gets printed wrong, they destroy it and print a replacement with a star at the end of the serial number. These are rarer than normal bills. Some of them are worth serious money to collectors. So next time you get change, check for that star. You might be holding $50 when you think you have 5. This is where money gets legitimately high-tech. Modern bills are covered in microprinting. Text so small you need a magnifying glass to read it. And it's everywhere. On a newer $100 bill, there's microprinting on Benjamin Franklin's collar. It says, "The United States of America," over and over, in letters smaller than you can see with the naked eye. On the quill in the inkwell, there's more tiny text. On the security thread running through the bill, there's even more. Why? Because counterfeiters can't replicate it. Not easily. When you try to photocopy or scan money, the microprinting turns into blurry lines. It's one of the first things banks check when they suspect a bill is fake. If the tiny text isn't crisp and clear, it's counterfeit. But here's the creepy part. The technology to print this small has gotten way better over the years, which means there could be text on your money that's even smaller than the stuff you can see with a magnifying glass. Text that requires a microscope to read. And what would that text say? Nobody knows. The Treasury Department isn't exactly advertising it. There are rumors, completely unverified, that some bills contain hidden batch codes or tracking information embedded in microprinting so small, it's essentially invisible. Could the government track individual bills? Technically, yes. Do they? Probably not for most transactions. But the capability exists. Your cash might not be as anonymous as you think. Pick up a newer 10, 20, 50, or $100 bill. Look at the number in the bottom right corner. Now tilt the bill. Watch the color change from copper to green, or green to copper depending on the bill. Pretty neat, right? This is optically variable ink, or OV. It's one of the most expensive security features on modern currency. The ink contains tiny flakes that reflect light differently depending on the angle you're looking from. It's the same technology used in high-end car paint and some credit cards. Here's why this matters. This ink costs so much to produce that most counterfeiters won't even try to fake it. They'll just use regular ink and hope nobody tilts the bill. That's why cashiers are trained to tilt bills when checking them. If that number doesn't change color, it's fake. But the really interesting part is what this ink reveals about how much effort goes into making money hard to copy. The US Bureau of Engraving and Printing spent years developing this ink. Millions of dollars in research, all to make a number change color. Because counterfeiting is that big of a problem. Every year, millions in fake bills enter circulation. Most of it gets caught, but some doesn't. The Secret Service estimates that for every $1 million in circulation, about $1 is counterfeit. That might not sound like much, but it adds up. We're talking hundreds of millions in fake money floating around at any given time. Hold a bill up to light. See that face looking back at you? That's a watermark. It's embedded in the paper itself during manufacturing. You can't add it later. You can't fake it with a printer. It's part of the paper's DNA. Creating watermarked paper requires special machines that cost millions. The paper is made from cotton and linen, not wood pulp like regular paper. That's why bills feel different from regular paper. That's why they survive the washing machine better than the grocery list in your pocket. The watermark matches the portrait on the bill. On a 20, it's Andrew Jackson. On a 100, it's Benjamin Franklin. This helps prevent people from bleaching small bills and reprinting them as larger denominations. If you try to turn a 5 into a 100, the watermark will show Lincoln instead of Franklin. Busted. Now look at that security thread running vertically through the bill. That thin strip with text on it. Hold it up to UV light and it glows. Different denominations glow different colors. 5s glow blue, 10s glow orange, 20s glow green. This makes it easy for businesses with UV lights to verify bills quickly. But that thread does something else. It contains magnetic properties. Bill counters and ATMs can detect these magnetic signatures to verify bills are real. Your money is literally magnetic, the more you know. So what's the takeaway here? Your money is basically a tiny piece of coded artwork that you carry around without thinking about it. It's covered in symbols from secret societies, protected by technology that costs millions to develop, and designed to tell stories about history, power, and who gets to decide what goes on the thing we all need to survive. Next time you handle cash, really look at it. Check for the microprinting. Tilt it to see the color-shifting ink. Hold it up to light and find the watermark. Look for the spider and the owl. You're holding something that represents way more than its face value. You're holding a piece of history, art, technology, and maybe just a little bit of conspiracy. And if you find a bill with a cool serial number, hold on to it. Might be worth something. And let me know in the comments what other secrets about money you've heard. Some of you probably know things I don't. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. See you next time.